a new episode of At My Desk. It's very good to be back with you. And tonight I want to discuss a topic we haven't touched on before in the show, and that is the subject of vampires. And I wanted to talk about that for a couple of reasons. Number one, because of the kind of resurgence in popularity of vampires in in pop culture, in the popular media. And of course, vampirism is something that sometimes exists in the periphery of paranormal research. And of course, this is a subject that a lot of people are familiar with to a greater or lesser extent through books, TV shows, and movies. One of the things that is not often contemplated by people in the general public is the reality of vampirism. And because on the surface it does seem like an incredible and bizarre subject to discuss, being real. But I want to come at it from the standpoint of metaphysics, the paranormal, and from the standpoint of a demonologist, because from that standpoint, it's firmly rooted in the field of demonology. So, from that perspective, we might consider vampirism as a form of demonic possession. Now, possession is something that many people have heard of and of course may be aware of through various television shows, certainly through the book and film The Exorcist. But consider the following. There are different types of malevolent entities, different varieties of demonic powers. Just as in nature, when you say a fish, well, there are thousands and thousands of different kinds of fish, different kinds of birds, different kinds of insects. And so it is in the demonic world. In most cases of possession, we're discussing an event in which an entity takes possession of a living person in an attempt to subvert the human will and to do harm, instill and engender fright, terror, despair, etc. There are other types of entities, however, that seek to take possession of a dead body, defiling the dead, desecrating the dead, etc. Reanimating the corpse. Remember, because this body is no longer living, there are no biological processes at work. And so the entity can imbue the body with preternatural strength, agility, even tapping in to what we call cellular memory, making the body give the semblance of life, even though there's really no true life present. It's just kind of a foul, wicked imitation of a once living person. But as I said, because the body is no longer living, there are no more anatomical, biochemical, physiological aspects to this being. So technically, you can't hurt it because there's no active functioning nervous system. it can violate many of the laws of physics, materializing, dematerializing, because a vampire is thought to exist in what we call anti-time. In other words, not really a part of our dimensional reality, but somehow existing in some kind of weird flux. This may be the root of the idea of a vampire not being able to cast a reflection in a mirror, because it actually cannot reflect natural light. Something to consider. So we have this dead body, this corpse, which this demonic entity is taking possession of, reanimating it, attempting to appear lifelike. But it's not living. It's got to consume blood. Why? Well, there are things that we call cosmic rules that govern the universe. Maybe we don't know why they are or how they got into place and who put them into place, what have you. That's a subject for debate. But it seems as though many of these rules exist so that these dark forces just can't simply run amok. The creature has to consume blood in order to maintain its possession of this deceased body. This is one of the rules. The vampire cannot venture out into direct sunlight because the sun radiates light at a frequency that disrupts the spirit's ability to maintain possession of the body. So it avoids it at all costs. The vampire is repelled by holy relics, whether it be a Star of David, image of the Buddha, a crucifix. Why? Because these things, these creatures exist in direct contradiction to everything good, everything noble, everything admirable in the human spirit. And when these objects are wielded by a person who has a belief in their power, because think of this. We don't want to imagine that these objects simply have power themselves. There's no intrinsic power in these objects. But if we think of them as kind of a point of focus, as a lightning rod, if you will, for positive energy. Again, these energy systems disrupt the demonic spirit's ability to maintain possession of the body. The vampire cannot enter a dwelling, a building, a home without permission of the person on the inside. But this concept is well established in demonology. The demonic typically cannot interfere in people's lives without an invitation, either directly or indirectly. Now, to be sure, it will try to deceive you. But when you grant permission, it renders you all but defenseless. So these are some of the things that should be contemplated in the discussion of vampirism. It's been said before that the vampire's greatest power is not its speed, agility, not its tremendous physical strength, not its apparent ability to mesmerize or hypnotize its victims, but rather that most people do not believe that it even exists. Because this anonymity empowers the vampire to move among us. And so I want you to think about that when these type of subjects are discussed, and you may be inclined to dismiss them out of hand. Now, I know oftentimes on television shows where they're discussing a subject like vampirism, almost inevitably, and I understand that the producers of these shows cannot resist the temptation of discussing these vampire cults, these vampire organizations, in which these people take on all the affectations of literary vampires and cinematic vampires, the porcelain fangs and the gothic clothing, all of the kind of cliched affectations. That's not what I'm discussing here. I'm not discussing people who are pretending to be vampires. I'm not talking about individuals, unfortunate individuals who may have some kind of mental disorder. I'm not talking about schizophrenics or any of the other various psychopharmacological issues. I'm talking about something that steps over into the realm of metaphysics, into the realm of the paranormal, into the realm of the demonic. So, I greatly appreciate your time and attention, and I hope that you continue to tune into these programs, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I enjoy bringing them to you. Until next time, I'm Dr. William Lester, and you've been here with me at my desk.